Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Seattle Mariners and the Pittsburgh Pirates. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Thursday, everyone. The best center fielder in the game, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. And on the right, Pittsburgh's very own Nick Gonzalez. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at third base, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, DHing today for Seattle, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing center field, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting sixth, playing right field, Luke Raley. Batting seventh, playing second base, Cole Clutch Young. Batting eighth, catching today for Seattle, Mitch Garver. And batting ninth, playing shortstop, the phenom, Colt Emerson. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 3-1 record, a ERA of 1.58, our number one. It's Miller time. It's Bryce Miller. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the home Pittsburgh Pirates. Leading off for the Pirates in center field, Jake Mangum. Batting second, DHing today for Pittsburgh, Brandon Lau. Batting third, playing left field, Brian Reynolds. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, third baseman, Nick Gonzalez. Batting fifth, playing first base, Ryan O'Hearn. Batting sixth, playing right field today, Esmeralda Valdez. Batting seventh, playing second base, Tyler Callahan. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, Jared Triolo. And batting ninth, catching today for the Pirates, Henry Davis. And on the mound for the Pirates with a 2-7 record, an ERA of 4.62, it is Bubba Chandler. And we're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. So every single stream, we will dedicate it to this icon and legend, Rick Riz. We love you. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Logan in the building. What's good? And definitely an early start here at 9:35 a.m. Pacific. So grab some breakfast or lunch, depending on where you are in the country. Shout out to all of our new subs, our female viewership, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. Series is split 1-1. The Pirates have been pretty good in this particular series. They had a 2-1 lead in game one. And if it wasn't for Luke Raley and Cole Young getting on base late with a Cole run, 2-run jack in game one, we wouldn't have won game one 3-2. So we were lucky to get that big home run from Cole Young in his hometown. But we got absolutely stomped yesterday, 11-1. So something's got to give. Hopefully they got all those hits out of their system, and we can finally get a few home runs Obviously magic number for the Mariners will be 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. And then as far as Bryce Miller, hopefully 2 runs or less given up. Maximum amount of runs that we can give up with a starter and still win is usually 3. But hopefully it's 2 or less today. And we will have our strong bullpen available since we used all our AAA options yesterday with Rucker, Hoppy, and Davila. So after Bryce Miller goes, hopefully, 6, 7, 8 innings, then we can end up bringing in, whoever they feel is most suited, whether it be Jose Ferrer and Gabe Spire for lefties or possibly Eduard Bizardo. And then hopefully we can bring out Andres Munoz and then, get the victory. We still can win the series. And again, we got to do much better than what we did yesterday. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Julie in the building. What's good? And we are just getting ready for first pitch here after the commercial break. And nothing really to be too worried about. We are going against a righty. Bubba Chandler, 2-7 record, ERA of 4.62. And obviously we got our number 1 ace on the mound in Bryce Miller, 3-1 record, ERA of 1.58, which is the best by far. And hopefully we can end up having a great 6, 7, 8 innings out of Bryce Miller, hopefully getting somewhere into that 7 to 10K range. And we definitely need the bats to start to come alive. Now, we started off good in the first inning with back-to-back hits by JP, Cal, and Julio. But then after we ended up getting the RBI single by Julio from JP at third, that was it, And again, we have to be much better than that. So we need to get good production, not only at the top of the order with Crawford, Raleigh, and Rodriguez, but we need the middle of the order, Naylor, Orosarina, and Raley to step up. And obviously Young, Garver, and Emerson to give us something. And again, usually we're going to get some magic from a lot of those guys later in the game, but we got to get it done. First pitch from Bubba Chandler to JP Crawford. Fouls that one off. 0-1 count. And Ashcraft really killed us with 10 Ks yesterday. And luckily we're going against a pitcher that is not as good today in Bubba Chandler. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball missing there. 1 ball and 1 strike from Chandler to Crawford. And we've had a problem scoring runs lately in the last 10 games, only averaging about 1 to 3 runs per game. So, again, if you want to win in baseball, magic number is 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. And again, we have to get to that number here today. 1-1 pitch, another ball out there to JP Crawford. 2 balls and 1 strike from Chandler to Crawford. Pitch was inside with a slider, 90 miles an hour. 2-1 pitch. And a little dribbler towards first and foul. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour there by Bubba Chandler. Velasco in the building. What's good? Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Pirates. Got to get a little payback from yesterday after getting stomped 11-1. 2-2 pitch, high and away. Good patience here by JP Crawford. And hopefully this will be something that'll trickle down to some of the other players. Again, Cal Raleigh and a lot of the others have been overly aggressive. And more times than not, it doesn't work out. We need to get the pitch count up. And we need to be able to get to that perfect pitch. Pitch 5, pitch 6, pitch 7. And on that 3-2 pitch, JP strikes out looking. But at least it's better than popping up on the first pitch or grounding out. 1 up and 1 down. Down goes JP Crawford on strikes, but at least he got the pitch count up, and hopefully we'll be able to get that with some of these other guys. Now, obviously, if Cal gets a pitch right down the middle and he wants to go for that home run swing or, trying to get a big single or double, so be it. But again, first pitch to Cal Raleigh goes to the backstop. Luckily, he didn't swing at that. 1-0 count. Catcher didn't even move, and it went all the way back to the PNC Park bricks. And we've seen a lot of ugly pitches out of Hoppy this year, and that was one of the worst we, I think, have seen so far in the 2026 season. Catcher didn't even move. 1-0 pitch, hard hit ball towards first base, and it's fair. There we go. Nice job there by Cal. Oh, my God, Cal's going for 2. And a weak throw into second base. Wow, that's shocking. Okay, I mean, if you want to let one of our bigger guys that's slow, get a double when it could have been a single, we'll take it. Great job there by Cal Raleigh. a laser down first base, and a lazy throw into the infield. And that's a double for Cal Raleigh. Great job. All right, let's see if Julio can get a single, double, RBI, or home run and knock him in. Let's go, Julio. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Great job there by Cal. First pitch by Julio. Pops it behind the plate to the PNC Park Bricks. 0-1 count. I got the Cal Raleigh hoodie on today, and so far so good with the luck. 0-1 pitch in there for a strike, high and inside. No balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. Oh-2 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. One-two pitch. And a lazy kind of half swing there by Julio inside. And J-Rod, we need you, buddy. And that is strike 3 on Julio Rodriguez. Come on, Julio. You got to be better than that. Get back to where you were a few weeks back when you were patient in the box. Next up in the 4-hole, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Strikeout looking by J.P. Crawford. Strikeout swinging by Julio. Cal with a single down first base. And Naylor pops it up on the first pitch in left field. And that is out number 3. We leave Cal Raleigh stranded at second, which is a damn shame. And let's go to the bottom of the first inning. And hopefully we'll get better as the game continues. Let's see who's up next here for the Pirates in the bottom of the first inning. Moving up from the 8-hole to leadoff hitter today, which is surprising. Center fielder Jake Mangum. Batting second, DHing today, Brandon Lau, a very dangerous hitter. And batting third, another dangerous hitter, left fielder Brian Reynolds. And on the mound for the Mariners, hopefully we can have a similar performance to Ashcraft yesterday. For our side, 3-1 record, ERA of 1.58. By far our best starter this season, Bryce Miller. It's Miller time, baby. Let's go. 58 subs to go to 24,400. So looking for our first dono on our dono train. Let's see where we're at on the likes on this early AM breakfast, early lunch broadcast. And we're at 25 likes so far. Good start, 75 to go. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Miller on the mound. Jake Mangum in the box. On deck will be Brandon Lau. And batting third, Brian Reynolds. And hopefully we'll have a somewhat easy inning here. And a few punch out for Bryce Miller. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Here we go. Let's go, Bryce. First pitch, low and at the knees, not getting the call. Very close to that strike zone there on Mangum on the first pitch, 1-0 count. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Pirates. Series is tied 1-1, so we need the series win. 1-0 pitch, popped him up. Deep center field. Wow, holy moly. Julio Rodriguez with a real athletic catch there out in center field. No fly zone in full effect. That easily would have been a double. Good job by Julio. And And as reliable as they come based off athleticism, he had to run quite a ways to get to that ball all the way to the warning track. Great job, Julio. 1 up and 1 down. Next up is Brandon Lau. On deck is Brian Reynolds. First pitch, low and at the knees from Miller to Lau. 1-0 count. 246 average, 18 homers, and 49 ribbies for Brandon Lau in 2026. One 0 pitch. Hard hit ball. Deep right field. Back, gone. Wow. Was not expecting that. And Bryce Miller giving up a home run on the second batter, Brandon Lau. 1-0 Pittsburgh. I do believe Bryce can get over 5 Ks today. And a big home run there from Lau. I guess we have to be happy that Mangum wasn't on board, so it's not a 2-run jack. It's, just a solo dinger, but again, not what we wanted. Next up is Brian Reynolds. On deck will be Nick Gonzalez. And again, this team doesn't really have a lot of big time guys that are recognizable besides Paul Skeens. But again, they're definitely an underrated ball club. There's no doubt about that. Little dribbler towards first by Reynolds. Fouls it off towards first base. Slider 88 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And we got to be careful pitching right down the middle, because obviously if you go right down the middle, no matter how good your stuff has been, other guys are going to lock in and make you pay. 0-1 pitch, high and away. Knuckle curve getting the strike zone, high and away on the corner. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Reynolds. Come on, Bryce. You got to be able to put that home run behind you. And again, hopefully he gives up 2 runs or less, 3 at the most. We're going to have our strong bullpen options with Edward Bizardo, Gabe Spire, as well as Jose Ferrer available. And then hopefully we'll have a chance for Mooney to come out to close it out. But again, we're down 1-0 and we're going to have an uphill battle. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball there by Miller. Just missing. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brian Reynolds. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 1-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Knuckle curve, 84 miles an hour, high and away. Count as 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Pirates. Solo dinger by Brandon Lau, 391 feet moments ago. 1-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Reynolds. And we definitely need Miller to have a good game today. He's our number 1, and we got beat up yesterday. 11-1. So we need the bats to come alive, and we need Bryce to go 6-7 innings today. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. There we go, Bryce. Way to recover after giving up the home run. Down goes Brian Reynolds, and that is 2 away. Nice job, Bryce. Way to settle down and settle in. And hopefully we'll be able to get somewhere between 7 to 10 Ks out of Bryce here today. Good job. Next up is Nick Gonzalez. First pitch to Gonzalez, fouls it back to the PNC Park Bricks, 0-1 count. Power Code in the building, what's good? Yeah, he's frustrated. He obviously was the best pitcher for us last season, and he's having a hard time. He takes it really personal, which he cares. And again, he's just frustrated on the way that he's pitched, and obviously we haven't got a lot of run support for a lot of our pitchers this year. And again, I know he'll get better after the All-Star break. When the warmer weather comes around, and again, it's not like a lot of teams are doing great in the American League this year. As of a couple days ago, there was only 2 teams out of 15 that scored more runs than their opponents, Yankees and us, and that was it. So we just got to be able to do our best to tread water, and we'll see where it goes. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Nick Gonzalez, and another punch out there for Bryce Miller. Way to recover after giving up the home run to Brandon Lau. And again, obviously getting down early in a game is not ideal. But again, we just need the bats to come alive, and hopefully Bryce only gives up 2 runs or less. Already gave up the home run to Lau. Pitching right down the middle. He'll learn from that. And we'll see who's up next here for the Mariners. And we got to get it going, not only in the middle of the order, but on the back end. On the mound for the Pirates, 2-7 record, ERA of 4.62, Bubba Chandler. He's not a lefty. He doesn't have a good record. His ERA is almost 5, so there's no excuses for the Mariners not to get the job done. We need good base running today. We need no errors. We need stolen bags, bunts, everything that we need to do to be able to win. Next up for the Mariners, in the 5-hole, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second in the 6-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And batting third in the 7-hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. And we're going to need a few home runs today, somewhere between 2 and 4, more than likely. Because, again, we're the most home run dependent team. So if we don't get any home runs, the chance of winning the game is not none, but it's, pretty slim. So we have to get at least one. And, and again, if you get one home run and it's a 2-run jack or a 3-run bomb, sometimes that's just good enough alone, unless we end up getting 3 or 4 home runs and they're all solo dingers. But we definitely need to be able to get a rally going early and late. Let's go to the top of the second inning, 1-0 Pittsburgh. $59 subs to go to 24,400. 10 consecutive games of scoring 3 runs or less, not ideal. First pitch to Randy, almost hits him in the head, goes back to the backstop, 1-0 count. All right, we're at 26 likes, 74 to 100. One-0 pitch in there for a strike to Randy Arozarena. Slider high and away, 90 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Chandler to Arozarena. And Randy with a slow dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is 1 away. Next up in the 6-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. There's quite a few players that are overdue for a home run. Randy, Raley, Garver, Emerson, JP, Julio. First pitch by a changeup to Luke Raley is a ball. 1-0 count. Let's go, Luke. Changeup was high and away. 92 miles an hour there by Bubba Chandler. 1-0 pitch. Hard hit ball by Raley. Fading into left field. Out of play. Four-seam fastball. 99 miles an hour by Bubba Chandler. Almost triple digits. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the second inning. 1-0 Pirates with a solo dinger by Brandon Lau. Miller pitched down the middle and paid the price. But again, Miller has been our best pitcher all year. And again, the only pitcher on our team that's got an ERA under 2, 3-1 record. And again, we need Bryce to be good today. Definitely need him to go 6-7 innings if we're going to have any chance today, more than likely. 2-1 pitch. And Raley with a blooper into deep left field. And Reynolds chases it down, and that is 2 away. We've seen an athletic grab out in the outfield by Julio, and now by Brian Reynolds as well. Next up in the 7-hole, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. Had a great homecoming in game number 1, and we need him to get back to that type of level here today on game number 3. Series is tied 1-1. We need the series win. Pirates are 40-40, 21-20 at home. Mariners are 41-40, 19-21 on the road. And again, we are normally a 500 ball club in the first half of the season, regardless on who's on the team. But in the second half is really where we shine. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Bubba Chandler to Cole Clutch Young. 1-1 pitch, popped up and out of play. All day in the building, what's good? Yeah, it happens, especially, when you get people talking trash. So, if it, goes towards us individually, or the players, things need to be done. 1-1 pitch, fouled off, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. If you think you're going to talk trash about our players and we're just going to let that slide, not going to happen. 2-2 pitch. And Young with a little blooper into shallow center field. And caught. Mangum is there. And that is out number 3. All right, let's go to the bottom of the second inning and see who's up next here for the Pirates. Early broadcast here, so grab some breakfast or early lunch, depending on if you're on the West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, or if you're around the globe. Next up for the Pirates, in the 5-hole, first baseman Ryan O'Hearn. Batting second in the 6-hole, right fielder Esmerin Valdez. And batting third in the 7-hole, second baseman Tyler Callahan. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 59 subs to go to 24,400. We're still looking for our first dono on our dono train. And let's see where we're at on the likes here so far as we go to the bottom of the second inning. All right, we're at 28, 72 to go. Shout out to our female audience, as well as all of our new subs and people watching all over the world, United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. We have almost 100 in the room and only 28 likes. If you can take a moment during the commercial break and hit that like button, it would be greatly appreciated. Brian in the building, what's good? Rebecca in the building, how are you? 1-0 deficit here early on by Brandon Lau, hitting a solo dinger, but that's not anything that we can't really come back from. But it has been a little rough in the last 10 games, only scoring 1 to 3 runs. So we have to be able to buck that trend. And, we are the most home run dependent team in baseball. And, it shows, sometimes when we don't hit a homer or we only get one, unless that one ends up being a 2-run jack, 3-run bomb, or grand salami, things can get a little rough. And as we know, things have been a little rough, obviously with the, starting pitching and the bullpen at times as well. So first pitch from Bryce Miller to Ryan O'Hearn. Takes a strike looking high and away. Cutter 91 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, high and away. Knuckle curve missing there by Miller. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to O'Hearn. One pitch, popped up, fading out of play. They're out in left field. Good souvenir out there for that fan. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Pittsburgh. And again, we're going to need to find some type of rally, back-to-back-to-back hits like we had in the first inning yesterday with JP, Cal, and Julio. We do have a hit by Cal Raleigh, who ended up stretching a single into a double because of a lazy throw from the outfield, but we weren't able to bring him home. And again, we got to be able to find, those clutch innings where we can get on those rallies, not just with 2 outs late in a game. And we need home runs. There's just no doubt about it. And we need Bryce to give up 2 runs or less and go 6, 7, 8 innings, and again, we're going to have access to Jose Ferrer, Gabe Spire, and Eduard Bizardo today. We may not need all those guys. And then obviously if we're in the game late, then we can talk about Andres Munoz. But again, we got to get to that point. 2-2 pitch. Popped him up in right field and fading foul. Slider 87 miles an hour there by Bryce Miller. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ryan O'Hearn. Lauren in the building. How are you? Good morning. Everyone grabbing some early breakfast, whether that be cereal or donuts or muffins, or you got, some bacon and eggs, whatever you got, get settled in for breakfast, lunch, or brunch, depending on where you're at. And hopefully we'll be able to kick off this day with a Mariner victory. The Bear Season 5 concludes tonight at 6 p.m., so I'll definitely be binge watching that. Really a big fan of Shameless and a really big fan of The Bear. If you haven't watched it, it's a fantastic show, and that will definitely be on my schedule here later today. 2-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. Splitter just missing there by Bryce Miller. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to O'Hearn. 3-2 pitch. Little dribbler towards first base and foul. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Pittsburgh. Let's go, Bryce. 3-2 pitch. Just got a little piece of that splitter, 85 miles an hour. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Pittsburgh. Michael's got the breakfast burrito. Lauren's got the coffee. I like it. And normally we don't have, streams this early unless we're on the East Coast, 9, 10 a.m. Not the most ideal. Popped up out of play and into the netting. But I woke up early, 6 a.m., got a nice long walk with Paisley in, and our heat wave is over here in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon and Washington. So we don't have to worry about 3 days of 90-degree temperatures and up. Now we're back in the 60s and 70s with some cooler weather and some rain, obviously in the forecast in the near future, which is going to be great. 3-2 pitch from Miller, and that is strike 3. Looking great at bat there. I mean, it was a long at bat there for Ryan O'Hearn, right? 12 pitches, but Miller gets the strikeout, and usually when it goes over 10, bad things happen, right? But again, they get a single, double, home run, or they get walked or get hit by a pitch. But Miller, obviously with that confidence, got the job done, and that is 1 away. Nice job there by Bryce Miller. And again, 7 to 10 Ks should be attainable today. He's already got 3. Next up, in the 6 hole, right fielder Esmeralda Valdez. On deck is Tyler Callahan. First pitch to Valdez, pops it behind the plate to the PNC Park bricks. 0-1 count. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Oh, 1 pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Valdez, who killed us yesterday after he pinched hit, halfway through the matchup and got a few big hits yesterday. But, considering everyone got big hits yesterday, they didn't have any home runs and they beat us 11-1. So it was not a good day. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Valdez. But I do think we can get a little bit of redemption from yesterday's beating, and we did get game 1. We won 3-2 because of Luke Raley and Cole Young. Late in that matchup, Young got a 2-run jack, and we won 3-2 after being down 2-1. 1-2 pitch, little dribbler towards third and foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Valdez, and I normally prefer, that 50 to 70 degree, temperatures, a little bit cooler. Once it goes into the 80s, 90s, and 100s, I'm usually uncomfortable. So especially if it ends up being 90 and up, even with AC and fans, it's just not ideal. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and that's punch out number 4 by Bryce Miller. It's Miller time, baby. And after giving up the home run to Lau early, he is locked in with a 1-hitter. Great job, Bryce. We need it. We need that electricity out of Bryce Miller. Considering we're hitting only 1 to 3 runs the last 10 games, that's not good. We got to get to 5. Next up is Tyler Callahan. On deck is Jared Triolo. a good start here after giving up the home run in the first inning to Lau, and now has 4 Ks and is pacing for 10. Yeah, well, obviously with the World Cup, there's going to be a lot of transplants that are in there, for the World Cup and whatnot. So, great vibes, obviously, in the Pacific Northwest. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Callahan. And I believe Team USA plays later tonight, I believe, right? Is it a 7 p.m. start for Team USA later tonight, I believe? So I'll be probably watching a little bit of that as well, rooting them on. 0-2 pitch, fouled off, high and away. I mean, obviously I got to be binge watching The Bear since I'm locked into that show. But if Team USA is on at that time, that'll be something that I'll be tuning into. Bottom of the second inning with nobody on and 2 outs. Miller on the mound, Callahan in the box. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. There we go. Hawks in the building. What's good? And that is the end of the second inning. 1-0 Pittsburgh. And again, after Bryce gave up the home run, he's got 5 Ks already. And again, how often is it that you get, give up a home run and you get 5 Ks and we're only, in the second inning. So again, we'll see if he can continue that trend, but could be a career day. Could end up being a 10 to 14 K kind of game if Miller can keep it up. And normally when you give up a home run in the first inning, there's no way that you're going to strike out the rest of the batters. But that's exactly what Bryce has done. And I guess we shouldn't really be that surprised. I mean, he is our number one. 3-1 record, ERA of 1.58. He is by far our best starter, since he's come back from the injury. And hopefully that good luck will rub off on the other pitchers. All right, next up for the Mariners as we go to the top of the third inning. In the 8-hole catching today, Mitch Garver. We don't really expect a whole lot out of Mitch Garver, but hopefully he'll be able to get on base with a single, double, or a home run and maybe get walked once, so that way he can at least get on base twice and give us a chance. Batting second, it's the 9-hole shortstop phenom, Colt Emerson, and batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, third baseman, J.P. Crawford. Try dance up. Let's go, M's. 59 subs to go to 24,400. Still looking for our first dono on our dono train. And let's see where we're at on the likes, how close we are to 100 as we go to the top of the third inning. We got 101 in the room. Hopefully we're close to that halfway point. And we are 45, 55 to go. It's not like we're going against 3 lefties like we did against Boston. We're going against 3 righties. And Chandler's 2-7 with an ERA of 4.62, so really no excuses. First pitch from Chandler to Garver. High and inside, 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 1-0 count. We do. Estimated July 7th, July 8th is what they're thinking. So a few days after the 4th of July. And then once that happens, he'll take over for J.P. Crawford at third. And then J.P. will just be a rotational guy, filling in for guys when they need a day off, whether that be Colt Emerson or Cole Young or Brandon Donovan, or, if we end up having an injury, then we can throw him in there. And I guess you could even have J.P. DH if you need a backup to Dominic Canzone. But I would assume once Donnie is back, he'll take that spot. So pitch fouled off right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Chandler to Garver. And it looks like Mariners TV is having some issues with their audio. 2-2 pitch, line drive, and caught. And that was a laser by Mitch Garver, but great athleticism there by Callahan, diving to make that catch, and that is 1 away. Jesse in the building, what's good? And it'll be great to have Donnie back. I mean, really, everyone is healthy as far as our main starters, except for Brandon Donovan. And we obviously know Matt Brash, Cooper Criswell, and Carlos Vargas will not be available until the trade deadline until August. And that's going to hurt our bullpen dramatically. But as long as we can get Donnie back, that should help out quite a bit. All right, next up is Colt Emerson. And first pitch to Emerson, little slow dribbler towards first, toe tap on the bag, and that is 2 away. Looks like they're having audio and video issues there. They don't have it going behind the catcher. They have it kind of behind home plate, and they have no audio. So obviously you got me calling the game, so no worries there. But obviously the actual video portion on Mariners TV, it's zoomed out quite a bit, so you have to kind of look close to see what's going on there. First pitch into J.P. Crawford. And since it's so far away, we got to wait to be able to see if it's a ball or a strike. And it looks like takes a strike looking with a four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, takes another strike. And this is the first time Mariners TV has had some issues like this with their audio and video, but hopefully they'll get it resolved. Another four-seam fastball looking. 0-2 pitch, little dribbler in front of the pitcher, throw to first, and that is out number 3. We got to be better. Again, we haven't been that patient, and again, when you've only scored, 1 to 3 runs in the last 10 games, we need guys to be able to, have some longer at bats. We need to bunt. We need to do all those things that, maybe not be, the sexy thing to do from game in and game out, but you got to be able to kind of switch things up and think outside the box. And again, we have been paying the price lately by not, being patient. We're a little too overly aggressive. And sometimes it works for guys like Cal Raleigh, but for a lot of the others, not so much. And even with Cal, sometimes it doesn't work. All right, next up for the Pirates as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning in the 8-hole shortstop, Jared Triolo. Batting second in the 9-hole, catcher Henry Davis, who did not play in game 1 or 2. And batting third back at the top of the order, it was hitting in the 8-hole in the first 2 games, but decided to bring him up as leadoff hitter, which is strange. Center fielder Jake Mangum. Let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Pittsburgh. All right, we're at 49 likes, 51 to go. All right, looks like they finally got the audio and video somewhat fixed here. Yeah, I agree. And again, not every batter needs to be swinging like they're going for the fences. You need to dial it back a little bit. Go for a single swing, a double swing, instead of just trying to, hit it out of the park every time. So I totally agree, Logan. And again, I want to see bunts. I want to see good base running. I want to see some stolen bags, all those little intricacies of baseball that make it great. And again, when you're just swinging for the fences, and again, it also really depends on who's on the mound as well. We got our number 1, but again, Bubba Chandler is not really the greatest pitcher, so we can't actually treat him, like, what happened yesterday. Both teams only have 1 hit right now, but I do believe things will get better for us. You got to hope that. 0-1 pitch, fouled off high and away. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Triolo. But we are the most home run dependent team, number 1, and that's not a good stat to be on. Unless you're able to get, 5 to 10 runs a game with a bunch of hits. And a base hit into right field there by Jared Triolo. And Raley scoops it up off the double bounce and throws it into the infield. And a single there in right field by Triolo. Hopefully we'll be able to get a punch out and a double play, or a double play and a punch out, or maybe Miller will continue his dominance on the mound. Next up is Henry Davis. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Davis in the box and Bryce Miller on the mound. First pitch, popped up and out of play. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Bottom of the third inning, runner at first, Triolo with no outs. Pittsburgh up 1-0. Looking forward to going to my first game this season, the only game that I'll be going this year on the 4th of July against the Toronto Blue Jays. So that'll probably be the only stream for the rest of the season that I'll miss. Obviously calling it here on YouTube, but hopefully we end up beating the Blue Jays when we go. And I'm definitely going to be trying to shoot for a foul ball. I've had some pretty good luck. I've been to about 10 games and I've gotten 3. So, I think most people realize how difficult it really is to get a ball. My best friend Justin has been to 50 plus games between the Dodgers in LA and Mariners, and he's never gotten one. So you definitely, have to be a honey badger, and you also have to be a little lucky as well. 1-1 pitch, fouled off, high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Davis. Sean in the building, what's good? Popped up. Back, and gone. Yikes. And Bryce Miller gives up another home run, and that is not something that typically happens. And Henry Davis, 2-run jack, 3-0 Pirates. My, oh my. That's not what we need. And again, normally Bryce is electric, and he does have a bunch of Ks, but can't be giving up home runs. And again, now we're down 3-0, and we don't have any home runs and only 1 hit so far. Henry didn't even play in the first 2 games and was a former first-round prospect that's gone up and down in the minors and made us pay there. Not good. Next up is Jake Mangum. And Bryce could still end up with 8 to 10 Ks, but again, we're digging ourselves in a hole here. Luckily, we're still in first place in the AL West, and there's only been 2 teams that have scored more than runs given up, the Yankees and us, out of 15 teams. So the American League is bad this year. But even with that being said, we're still one of the best, between us, the Rays, the Guardians, the White Sox, and obviously the top team, the Yankees. But, it is what it is. We just got to wait till Donnie comes back, and hopefully after the All-Star break, we can start going on a run. 1-0 pitch. Or 1-1 pitch. Fouled off towards first base. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Mangum. And obviously, if you give up home runs, as long as, you're on the board sooner than later, it's not as bad. But the longer that we stare at that 3-0, the harder it's going to be to, gradually come back. So we need to respond in the top of the 4th with a minimum of a run by the 4th or the 5th inning. Otherwise, this one might get out of hand, even with Miller on the mound. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jake Mangum. I actually have gotten 2 Portland Beaver foul balls also when I was 10 years old. Sprained my ankle on the first one, and then the second one almost sprained my ankle on that one as well, and then got them autographed from some of the players. This was back in 1992. So that's what kind of started me on my good run of getting, baseballs and knowing how to get them and chasing them down. But again, they're not easy to get. Home run balls, foul balls, you got to be in the right place at the right time. And, usually I sit right on the aisle, so it gives me more access to go up and down, the aisles and whatnot. And that is a big swing and a miss. Down goes Mangum. Mangum thinks he got a tip on that, or it went into the dirt. And they're having issues with the truck right now at the game. And I guess Mangum is arguing, but that is going to be strike 3. 6 strikeout there for Miller. So Miller's got the Ks, but he's given up 2 home runs. So we got to be able to help him out. Next up is Brandon Lau. First pitch to Lau, big swing and a miss. 0-1 count. Come on, Bryce. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Lau. I guess we have to bring out the Mariner Moose here early. And we got to get on the board sooner than later. Bottom of the third, 3-0 Pittsburgh. Pirates 3-0 as they're having technical difficulties with the audio and some of the graphics. They're here in Pittsburgh at PNC. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brandon Lau. 1-2 pitch. Popped up and behind the plate. And they got Goldie calling the game on a phone right now. Before this audio and video, obviously they had issues with the ABS replay, and they had a kind of a weird camera angle behind home plate that was very far away. But now they got it behind the pitcher, but now the audio is having issues, and now Goldie is on a phone calling the game. First time this season. Popped up. And Julio is there, and that is 2 away. What year did you get your Portland Beaver foul balls? Do you remember? Next up in the 3-hole is Brian Reynolds. Also in that same year when I was 10 in 1992, I snuck down to the front row after the Beavers hit a big grand slam, and I was screaming at the players down below. And I ended up getting some batting gloves from a player, and I still have those in a plastic bag to this day. So, sometimes you got to be in the right place at the right time, and, sometimes have a little bit of luck to be able to get merchandise like that. But, that definitely was a fun era for me, and we don't have a squad like that. I mean, we got the Hops and there's a few other teams, but nothing like the Portland Beavers and the vibes that they brought in the 80s and 90s here in Oregon. It definitely gave you an alternative if you couldn't afford to drive to Seattle back in the Griffey era, that you could go to a Beaver game for a decent price and have a great time. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Reynolds. And then they transitioned them into like the Portland Rockies and then the Beavers again. And then I was there for one of their, last seasons when they ended up having the minor league all-star game. And this was, I would say 2009 to 2012, I think somewhere in there. And all the all-star players came there, and it was a good time. Really hot, over 100 degrees, and a line drive into left, bouncing right in front of Randy Arosarena. And Brian Reynolds with a single to Randy. Next up in the 4-hole, third baseman Nick Gonzalez. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. First pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. Cutter, 92 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Bottom of the third inning, runner at first with 2 outs, 3-0 Pirates. And Bryce has got a lot of Ks today, but again, I gave up a home run to Lau. Solo dinger in the first, 391 feet. And then Henry Davis, who didn't play in game 1 or game 2, catcher, ended up getting a blast to center, 390 feet with Triolo on board, and we're down 3-0. So the most that we can be down by and still come back and win is 5. So hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but we need runs badly. 0-1 pitch, low and into the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike to Nick Gonzalez. And Gonzalez with a pop-up into right. Luke Raley is there. And finally, that is out number 3. All right, Mariners, we got to be able to dig deep now. We got a good pitcher on the mound, but even our best pitcher, our ace, our number 1, is not invincible. Sometimes they're going to give up home runs, and that's a little unusual for Bryce to give up 3 since his ERA is 1.58 and he's 3-1. But again, in his last couple starts, he's been getting a little bit roughed up. And again, we just got to be able to help him out the best that we can. And Cal is the only player that has a hit so far. He's got a double, and we're going to need another single, double, or home run out of Cal, and hopefully we can start a rally here. Next up in the top of the 4th, 1-for-1 with a double. DHing today, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. We need home runs, baby. Let's go. Batting second, 0-for-1 with a K, center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, first baseman in the cleanup role, 0-for-1. It's Nails, Josh Naylor. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. I'm very happy that the heat wave is finally over. We had 90-degree temperatures here in Oregon and Washington for 3 straight days, and now we go back to 50 to 70-degree temperatures, which is much more my level. 59 subs to go to 24,400. Still looking for our first dono on our dono train, and let's see where we're at on the likes. We are at 52, 48 to go. Tank in the building. What's good? Oh, absolutely. And I'm telling you, when you end up getting a ball at a game, it changes you. Like you can be a fan, of the game, but once you end up getting a piece of memorabilia, whether, you end up getting a bat or batting gloves, or if you're lucky enough to get cleats or, batting gloves, a foul ball, a home run ball. I mean, anything that's related to the game that's coveted, it definitely takes your fandom to another level. First pitch is fouled off there by the big dumper with a curveball right down the middle, 86 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh, I imagine. I mean, in Oregon and Washington, you had 90-degree temperatures and up, for 3 straight days. Regardless if you have AC and fans, it's miserable. And then for me, with a pup, I got to be able to wake up extra early, and I got to get 2 long walks in before like 9 a.m. So that way she's comfortable, because anything above, 75 degrees or even 70 degrees, she gets a little uncomfortable and whatnot. So. And then we got to wait usually at, 10, 11 at night, where it cools down, where we can do that last walk. So, but we're definitely back to good old Pacific Northwest temperatures. So we're back in business, and we have rain coming in the near future, which is great. So 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Cal Raleigh. And that is 1 away. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. On deck is Josh Naylor. And first pitch to Julio. Line drive into right, and a beautiful single there by J-Rod. Here we go. All right, second hit of the day. One by Cal, one by Julio, and let's see if we can start a rally here. Great job by Julio Rodriguez, and we need all the help that we can get. We got to get to 1 as soon as possible here. Good job there by Julio Rodriguez. Next up is Josh Naylor. On deck is Randy Arosarena. And Mariners TV had some audio and video issues. Now the graphics are not working. They have obviously the right camera angle now, but obviously they have Goldie and Angie on phones calling the game. Kind of an echo. Not ideal, but hopefully they get that fixed so we can see the graphics. Luckily for me, I got, ESPN, MLB.com and everything else, so I can still, call the game and whatnot, but they're definitely having issues there in Pittsburgh. Pitch back to first, and Julio is safe. So first they had a video issue where they had to have a camera behind home plate, and it was like all the way in the booth where like Rick Riz would be at, like way up there. So you couldn't even really tell what were balls and strikes. Then they got that fixed, and now they have it, at the pitcher. But they don't have, all their cameras working, with all the different camera angles. And then the audio and the graphics went out. And so now Goldie and Angie are calling it on phones, into the game, onto the broadcast. And then all the graphics on the screen have disappeared. So hopefully they'll get it fixed. But I can still see what it is, based off the pitch count and, location and everything else. So pitch fouled off there by Naylor, high and away, 99 miles an hour there by Chandler. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first, Julio with 1 out. We desperately need a home run or an RBI. 0-2 pitch, Naylor with a little blooper into right, drop, yes, there we go. And then we got a little bit of a rally going. Now we got runners at first and second with 1 out. Let's go. Great job there by Julio Rodriguez and Josh Naylor. Back-to-back singles. And now Randy might be out of the game, and now they have Victor Robles. I wonder what happened there. Oh, never mind. Randy is in. I was going to say, are they bringing Victor in? It's like, we already have all these injuries. Randy is in. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. Yeah, Cade is killing it. He's only given up a run, 1 run all month, but again, it sounds like the Mariner organization is going to wait as long as possible to bring him up. So, I would assume it would be, after the All-Star break towards the end of the year, or maybe, in the playoffs. It doesn't sound like they're going to bring him up any sooner than that. They still want him more than likely to, get promoted to AAA before they bring him up to the big leagues. But he is one of the best, if not the best, farm pitcher. And again, very, very dominant. We haven't really seen too many guys be as dominant as that. So top of the 4th inning, runners at first and second, Julio and Naylor, and we got Randy in the box. We could really use a 3-run jack by Randy. He's overdue. And Chandler steps off the mound, especially with Randy kind of giving up on that play in left field, and that started a big rally. So 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Chandler to Orosarena. One pitch, popped up and out of play. Slider, 92 miles an hour, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Chandler to Orosarena. Top of the 4th inning, runners at first and second. We're down 3-0, but we finally have 2 runners on board. Now we just got to be able to finish the job here with a home run or an RBI. Ooh, 1-2 pitch almost hits Randy in the shoulder, ducks out of the way. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Chandler to Orosarena. Last pitch was 101 mile an hour four-seam fastball. 2-2 pitch. Randy pops up. Should be a routine play. Mangum is there in center field. And no time for Julio to make it to third. Strong throw by Mangum to cut him off. And that is 2 away. All right. See if we can get a nuke from Luke. With 1 swing, the game can be tied, and we desperately need that. Let's see if Rayleigh can get an RBI or a home run here. Come on, Luke. Julio at second, Naylor at first. We have 3 hits. They have 4, but the difference is they have 3 runs, a 2-run jack and a solo dinger, and we have no home runs yet. First pitch to Rayleigh is high and away, 1-0 count. Come on, Luke. Jack in the building. What's good? Popped up and out of play. One ball and 1 strike from Chandler to Rayleigh. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Luke Raley. Oh, man. Yeah. Anything Ichiro. I got an Ichiro autograph as well. That's awesome, man. You know, anytime you can end up getting an autograph from any of those legends, whether it's Ichiro or Griffey or Randy Johnson or Edgar Martinez or any of the current players, you know, with Julio and Cal and whatnot. But I mean, I got Wu, I got Julio, I got Cal, Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, but I don't have an Edgar or Randy Johnson. But obviously, I didn't get a whole lot of opportunities, back in the 90s to go to a lot of Mariner games. And runner is, I was about to say Julio was going to get caught at third base, but the throw was wild, and Julio is safe. Wow, we got real lucky there. And now we got runners at second and third. After that wild pitch, Naylor scampers to second, and Julio, I thought, oh God, he's out for sure, because our base running has been terrible this year, but they caught him, kind of running to third a little late, and the throw was wild, and now we have runners at second and third for Luke Raley. Come on, Luke. I mean, even just getting an RBI single and scoring Julio from third would be great, but if we can get this game to 3-1 or 3-2. And 3-1 pitch is outside, and we have bases loaded. Here we go. And now we got someone that we actually feel that can get a hit here, Cole Clutch Young. All right, bases loaded for Cole Young, and let's see if Cole can come up with some magic. This is his hometown, and ended up being the hero for us in game 1 with that 2-run jack with Rayleigh on board. And we got Mitch Garver on deck, so obviously much better to have, Cole Young here. And let's see if Cole can get a single, double, triple, or home run. And Young, first pitch, drop. Ah! Wow, Mangum with a sliding catch in the outfield, and he got it. Damn. That would have definitely scored 2 runs there, and we had bases loaded with 2 outs, and that ball just can't drop. Damn you, Mangum. If Mangum doesn't make that sliding grab on his back, we're right back into the game, but at least we ended up getting bases loaded, and hopefully next time around we'll be able to put some runs on the board, but brutal. I mean, we were just inches away from getting the game to be 3-1 or 3-2. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 4th inning and see who's up next here for the Pirates. Next up for the Pirates, 0 for 1 with a K, first baseman Ryan O'Hearn. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a K, right fielder Esmerin Valdez. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, second baseman Tyler Callahan. Bottom of the 4th inning, 3-0 Pittsburgh. All right, Miller, 3 innings pitch, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 6 Ks, 60 pitches, 46 strikes with a 2.09 ERA, but has given up 2 home runs today. And then Bubba Chandler, 4 innings pitch, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks, 53 pitches, 34 strikes with a 4.38 ERA. Go to the bottom of the 4th inning, 3-0 Pirates. And obviously they're having technical difficulties there in Pittsburgh on Mariners TV with some of the graphics on the screen as well as the audio. They got Goldie and Angie calling the game on phones rather than microphones. Hopefully they'll get that fixed. So it looks like Pirates TV and the Mariners truck, they're both having issues, is what they just mentioned. First pitch from Miller to O'Hearn is in there for a strike. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, line drive towards first with a laser and foul. Splitter 85 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 4th inning, 3-0 Pittsburgh. And again, we had a really good chance that last half inning with bases loaded and just came up short. But at least we got 3 hits now on the board, and we just need to be able to capitalize. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and another punch out there from Bryce Miller. And that is 1 away. Miller was 7 Ks, but he has 2 home runs, a 2-run jack, by Henry Davis and a solo dinger by Lau in the first. So, it sucks being the most home run dependent team, but we got to have something go in our favor at some point. Next up in the 6 hole, 0-for-1, right fielder Esmeralda Valdez. First pitch, takes a strike looking, high and inside, 0-1 count. Trident's up, let's go M's. Oh, 1 pitch. Takes a strike looking low and away. Looked a little outside, but they gave him a strike. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 pitch, low and away with a sweeper. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Valdez. One, 2 pitch, low and away. Two balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Valdez. Come on, Mariners TV. Come on, Pittsburgh. 2-2 pitch. High and inside. 3-2 pitch. And got him. There we go. Nice job there. Valdez strikes out looking. And that is punch out, I believe, number 8 for Bryce Miller. Next up is Tyler Callahan. And again, the Mariners TV broadcast has no stats, on the screen, and they're calling the game from phones. So, there's going to be some issues, obviously, on their end, and we'll do our best on our end here to get everything situated. But, I got a couple extra pages up to help out, with MLB and ESPN. First pitch to Callahan, he bunts foul. 0-1 count. Bottom of the 4th inning, 3-0 Pittsburgh. Big swing and a miss, low and away. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Callahan. And Miller's at 8 Ks right now. Chandler's only at 3. Got to take advantage. Oh-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. There we go. Bryce Miller with 9 Ks within the first 4 innings. But again, those 2 home runs really hurt us. We just need the offense to be able to help him out. And he's definitely pacing somewhere between 10 and 15 Ks today. But again, it's kind of like, the George Kirby performance that we had a few days back where he got 10 Ks and we still lost. So we definitely need the run support, for our pitchers. And, we have 10 straight games where we've scored 1 to 3 runs. So we got to be able to get over this hump. Next up, 0-for-1 catcher Mitch Garver. Batting second, 0-for-1 shortstop, the phenom Colt Emerson. And batting third, 0-for-2 with a K, third baseman J.P. Crawford. Someone's got to drop a bunt down at some point or another. 59 subs to go to 24,400. And we gained a sub since the commercial break. Appreciate you. 58 subs to go to 24,400. We hit 6.1 million views on the channel a few days back, and also got our biggest solo donation, $1,500 from Odin's son. And obviously we appreciate him very, very much. We're looking for our first dono here on the channel. in this particular stream here today. And let's see where we're at on the likes and how close we are to 100. We're at 62. We're almost there. 38 to go. Hopefully this is the inning where we get it going. You know, if Cole Young was able to get that hit to drop, and if it wasn't for Mangum's great defense today, you know, we might be tied right now, or at least down only 3-1 or 3-2. Got to find a way. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. First pitch to Garver is high and inside, almost hits him in the shoulder. 1-0 count. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-0 pitch. High and inside. Let's see if Garver can force a walk here and start a rally for us. 2 balls and no strikes from Chandler to Garver. Top of the 5th inning with nobody on and no outs. 3-0 Pittsburgh. Two-0 pitch in there for a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike from Chandler to Garver. Top of the 5th, 3-0 Pittsburgh. And again, they have 2 home runs so far, and we're waiting to get our first. Maybe Mitch could be that guy. And Garver with a line drive towards third and foul. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. Come on, Ems. We still got time. But we need to get off the schneid and get off this 0. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Chandler to Garver. Come on, Garver. Take the walk if it's there. 3-2 pitch. And there we go. Great job by Mitch Garver. You know, again, if he can get on with a single and then a walk, you know, and there's the walk. And then hopefully he'll be able to get at least 1 hit later in the game. Great job there by Mitch by not being overly aggressive. And now we got Garver at first. Now let's see if we can bring him home. Next up is the phenom in the 9-hole, shortstop Colt Emerson. On deck is J.P. Crawford. Let's go. This could be the inning where we finally get on the board. First pitch to Emerson is high and away. One 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, fouled off there by Colt Emerson. 4-seam fastball, 98 miles an hour, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first. Mitch Garver with no outs. Top of the 5th, 3-0 Pittsburgh. One pitch, high and inside. 4-seam fastball, 98 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike from Chandler to Emerson. Mike in the building. What's good, brother? 9 Ks for Miller, but again, you know, we need to be able to get some RBIs or home runs here. Two 1 pitch in there for a strike. Change up 93 miles an hour right down the middle. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Chandler to Emerson. And on Mariners TV, they have technical difficulties not only from Pittsburgh side, but also the Mariners truck. No graphics on the screen for balls, strikes, or outs, just the actual video itself. A line drive ends up going foul. And Goldie and Angie are calling the game on phones right now since the technical difficulties, but at least the video is working. Could be worse. And again, they had a weird camera angle, behind the catcher, like all the way at the roof earlier. So at least they actually have the video part, behind the pitcher now. 2-2 pitch, high and away. Good at bat here for Colt Emerson, being very patient. And again, something that a lot of the batters have been lacking. And I would like to see Dominic Canzone come in, to give us a little bit of pop in the lineup. Hopefully before this game is over, we could use it. Count now is 3 balls and 2 strikes from Chandler to Emerson. Jerry in the building. What's good? Come on, Colt. 3-2 pitch. And there we go. A little mini meltdown here from Bubba Chandler. Sounds like a NASCAR driver. And again, now we have runners at first and second with no outs. Remember, we had bases loaded, right? With 2 outs. Last inning, Cole Young, hit one into the outfield. And if it wasn't for a spectacular grab, by Mangum, we would probably be down only a run, 3-2. But now we have an opportunity to do it again. JP Crawford now with runners at first and second and no outs. Let's go, JP. On deck is Cal Raleigh. And then if we can get to Julio, maybe this game will be tied or we can take the lead. And obviously we know JP is one of the more patient, players on the team. He's number 1. Dom right now is probably number 2, but he's not playing in the game yet today. And now they're going to have a mound visit. And even if JP forces a walk and we can get bases loaded for Cal, you never know. Grand salami, RBI single, good things could happen. And we just got to hope that we can end up getting a few runs in this inning. I mean, at the very least, 1. But again, with runners at first and second and no outs, hopefully 2 or more. And let's see if JP Crawford can give us a little bit of that Soto mojo and that Mariner magic. Mariner Moose is out, and that usually gives us a lot of luck. Let's go, baby. JP in the box. Cal Raleigh on deck. And Cal did get a hit. Our first hit of the game, so it seems like he's locked in. Come on, JP. We can still win this game. We just need a meltdown by the starter in the pen, and JP with a slow dribbler up the middle, and it skates through. Let's go. Go, go, go. And Garver, run. And Garver scores. Let's go. 3-1 Pittsburgh. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Better late than never, and it sucked that we didn't get, anything off bases loaded last inning, but great job there by JP Crawford getting the job done. And now it's 3-1 Pittsburgh. Let's go. Next up is Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. And we got runners at first and third with no outs. We can tie this game up in this inning right here. And then we just need a meltdown by the Pittsburgh pen, and we can come back and win. Let's go. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, hard hit ball by Cal, and damn it, just foul. One ball and 1 strike to Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. Let's go, baby. Fantastic game. 1-1 pitch, high and away. Looks like Bubba Chandler is having a little bit of a meltdown here, hitting the strike zone. So if we can just be patient in the box, we can end up loading these bases up and maybe even just getting a runner to come in from third just based off walks. But we know how aggressive, Cal and Julio normally are. Big swing and a miss. Shouldn't have swung there. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Chandler to Cal Raleigh, and it was way off the plate. If Cal just would have been patient there, it would have been a 3-1 count. Come on, Cal. We don't need a home run here. I mean, it would be great, but just get an RBI single and we're good. Big swing and a miss, and Cal just going for these home run swings and hurting us, and that is 1 away. Relax, Cal. Take a walk. Go for a single. It doesn't have to be a home run swing every time. Down goes Cal, and that is 1 away. Let's see if Julio can be a little bit more patient with his at-bat. On deck will be Josh Naylor. We have to get more than 1 run with this situation here. First pitch, Julio. Double play. Fuck. And just like that, a squandered opportunity. We at least got 1. But again, Julio swinging at the first pitch, not being patient like Cal Raleigh. And again, these are things that they need to understand. You see a pitcher walk a couple guys, understand you shouldn't be swinging at the first pitch. And, you expect more, out of guys like Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. Like, you've been in the league for a few years now. You have to have situational awareness, and if you know that the pitcher can't hit the strike zone, why the hell are you swinging, at the first couple pitches? Like, why don't you take a few pitches, get the pitch count up, and then when you get that 3-0 count or 3-1, then maybe go for that home run swing. And definitely terrible at-bats there for Cal and Julio. This game could be 3-2 or 3-3, hell, even 4-3 if they had patience. And again, at least we got 1. but a little bit of a squandered opportunity there by Cal and Julio. All right, but at least we got on the board, so we can at least be positive there. We're not down 3-0 anymore, and we're back in it. And we've been able to get guys on base and in scoring position in back-to-back innings. And Chandler is starting to have a little bit of a meltdown, which I guess is a good thing. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Pirates in the bottom of the fifth. Next up, 1-for-1 with a run, shortstop Jared Triolo. Batting second, 1-for-1 with 2 ribbies and a home run, Henry Davis. And batting third, 0-for-2 with a K, center fielder Jake Mangum. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Yeah, but we got to get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, and when we only get 1 to 3 runs for 10 games in a row, he's got 9 Ks right now, but he did give up 2 home runs, and Miller usually doesn't do that. So, at this point, we got to be able to get the job done. I mean, it's a combination of Miller giving up those 2 home runs as well as lack of production. But I mean, both teams have 4 hits right now. They have an error even, but the difference is they have home runs right now and we don't. So. And I just wish that some of our guys had better situational awareness. In any other given situation, if you just want to, go for it, fine. You want to be aggressive on those first couple pitches and try to get a single, double, or home run. But when you've seen the pitcher have a meltdown and can't hit the strike zone, you're bailing him out by swinging, or early. And Randy ends up getting a pop up there in the left by Triolo, and that is 1 away. And again, as you get more mature, you start to realize that, but apparently with Cal and Julio, I guess maybe not mature enough, at least not yet. Even though Julio is having, one of his best seasons here in the first half, and obviously Cal has had a lot of injuries, and, he's been really overly aggressive since coming back from the Tacoma Rainiers, and he has, made a few hits, had 1 home run, so far since being back, but his at-bats overall haven't been the greatest. First pitch by Davis showing bunt, pulling back, high and away, 1-0 count. Broken bat, fly ball. Randy is there, and that is 2 away. But again, once Chandler goes out, hopefully we can get a little bit of a meltdown. That's what we got to hope for. But we had 2 really good chances, to get, to 3 to 5 runs already. We had bases loaded, couldn't get anything. And then obviously had runners in good scoring position there at first and third, and with only 1 out, and Julio getting that double play, not ideal. But it happens, it's baseball. First pitch into Mangum, takes a strike looking, high and away, 0-1 count. And a little slow dribbler. Young is there, throw to first, and just in time, and that is out number 3. All right, we've been, pretty productive in the last 2 innings, in the third and the fourth. But again, we need to be able to bring guys home, and at least we're not down 3-0. And let's see if we can end up getting something here in the top of the 6th. And I guess, I get it with Cal, being overly aggressive, for AAA. I mean, he had 5 home runs in a week, but the level of pitching in AAA compared to the big leagues is, a huge difference. Next up, 1-for-2, first baseman. It's Nails, Josh Naylor. We need him to get going. Batting second, 0-for-2, left fielder Randy Orosarina. Got to get you going in the box, Randy. And batting third, 0-for-1 with a base on ball, right fielder Luke Rayleigh. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. 57 subs to go to 24,400. Still waiting on our first dono on our dono train, and let's see where we're at on the likes. With 165 in the room, how close we are to 100. We are at 72. We're almost there. 28 to go. We got 165 in the room. If you can take a moment during this commercial break and hit that like button, we only need 28 people out of 165 and we'll be at 100. Let him know, Dave. And it's a long season, and normally no matter who's on our roster, we're typically, if you go back and look at our teams, we got the most talent, that we've ever had, going back to, the 2001 team, but again, we're normally 500 ball club in the first half of the season, and then we really ramp it up in the second half. So, and Naylor pops up and flies out into left, and that is one away. Naylor with 3 pitches and 3, well, obviously he ended up getting the 1 hit, but got to be more patient, and again, Cal, Julio, and Naylor in the 2, 3, and 4, swinging at these early pitches against a bad pitcher, you're bailing them out. And then Randy doing the same thing, a little slow dribbler towards third, throw to first, and Randy hustles and hopefully doesn't tweak that hammy and is safe at first. Good job there by Randy Arosarena, finally getting his first hit of the day. And now we have Luke Raley. And if we can get a nuke from Luke, the game is tied, with all the things that have gone wrong with this team, starting pitching, the bullpen, the injuries, the lack of hitting, the lack of home runs, the lack of RBIs. We just got to be able to, tread water and just try to do the best that we can. And it also shows you like how important, Dominic Canzone is to this team. And they're going to make a pitching change. So Bubba Chandler is done, but, again, Luke and Dom should be playing every day, regardless if it's lefty or righty pitching. And if you notice, when we don't have those guys in the lineup, even sometimes when they're in the lineup, we still lose, but we feel, more confident, when both of those guys are playing, and we have a better chance to win, especially, based on how good that Dom has been lately. I don't know if I would say he's been running hard a lot this year. I mean, as of recently, he ran hard, and then he pulled his hamstring. Like the first time that he was really running hard towards first, and then he pulled a hammy and was on the 10-day IL. But, again, there's a lot of things that Randy could do to make him, better. Hustling all the time, being a better base runner, fielding ground balls in left field, not throwing lobs and throwing lasers. So for a guy that more than likely will be our only all-star this year, there's a lot of parts of his game that could be better. He's kind of a lazy player, if I'm being honest, but again, he's good in the box more times than not, but there's a lot of other things that could be better. All right, Sisk is coming in. All right, Evan Sisk. And he is a lefty. All right, so we got Randy at first. Rayleigh is in the box. And now we got Evan Sisk is on the mound. 29 games with a 1.85 ERA, 42 strikeouts to 11 walks, so it'll be challenging. But let's hope that Luke Rayleigh can find a little magic here. First pitch inside for a strike, 0-1 count. All right, now they finally got the microphones working, and they got the stats back on the screen. So it looks like the Mariners truck and the Pittsburgh truck are back on track now. It took them a few innings, but good to see. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. And hopefully Randy isn't dancing around at first base and kind of showing his cards. A lot of times you already know that he's going to steal a bag, and you want to make it, kind of secretive. You don't want to show your cards too early by hopping around, and our base running has been terrible this year. 0-1 pitch in there for a strike looking. No balls and 2 strikes to Luke Rayleigh. Great to be able to see that the stats are on the screen again, and they got Goldie and Angie back on the normal microphones, not on telephones. Top of the 6th, runner at first with 1 out. Evan Sisk on the mound. Luke Rayleigh in the box. 0-2 pitch, low and away. Good take there by Luke. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Luke Rayleigh. 1-2 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Sisk DeRayli. I mean, there's a lot of really great rookies. This is one of the best rookie classes in the last 15 to 20 years, American League and National League. So, obviously, Munetaka Murakami, before he pulled his hamstring, was having a fantastic season. And Rayleigh with a line drive into right, and it drops. There we go. And now we got runners at first and second there. Nice job there by Luke Rayleigh. And, McGonigal has been great for the Tigers. So there's going to be quite a few guys on both sides, that are going to be in the running, for Rookie of the Year of the American League and the National League. But just to name a couple guys off the top, those guys have played pretty damn well. Nice job there by Luke Rayleigh with the good follow-through swing. And next up is Cole Clutch Young. Let's see if he can make up for that bases loaded. Great play in the outfield there by Mangum that, cost us a run or two. Let's see if Cole can come up big here in his hometown. First pitch is low and away. Sinker, 90 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Come on, Cole. And obviously, I don't have any extra funds to, get another jersey. But if I were to get a new jersey for the Mariners, it definitely would be a Cole Young. Either a teal or a blue. Probably that teal that they got on today, if they make it available next season. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike from Sisk DeYoung. I got a white Julio. I got a gray King Griffey Jr. and I got a no sleeves with turtleneck King Griffey Jr. from back in the day. And then got the City Connect Cal Raleigh. Little chopper towards first and foul. So I got about 4 or 5, different jerseys and whatnot, but I would love to add a Cole Young to the collection. And that teal looks pretty snazzy. I definitely would go with the teal over. And they got the steelhead jerseys and they got the cream ones that they went away from and the grays. We'll see if the grays or the cream ever make a rotational back next season. But I do like the teal. Definitely got that King Griffey Jr. type of vibes. 1-2 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Sisk DeYoung. Come on, Cole. The only problem is if you're going to put Randy in the DH, Logan, who plays left field? 2-2 pitch, little dribbler there by Young. And fielder's choice, Rayleigh is out, no double play. And Randy is at third, Young safe at first. All right, now we need Mitch Garver to be a hero. He's already been walked once, and we're going to need him to get another walk or a single, double, or home run. Let's see if Mitch can be one of those unsung heroes. Once in a blue moon, he will homer. And if he can get a hold of one here, it'll give us a 4-3 lead. But even just an RBI single to make it 3-2 would be great. First pitch, and it hits him. Let's go. I hope he's okay. But Garver getting hit on the leg. And we'll take that. Garver with a walk and Garver getting hit by a pitch. We'll take that. Bases loaded with 2 outs for Colt Emerson. And obviously Emerson hopefully will be able to get an RBI or a home run here. And change up hitting him right on the padding. Luckily he has the padding right there on the ankle. And hit him right on that spot right there with the padding on that left leg. And Garver's hobbling to first. I hope he's okay. But obviously Garver getting on base is great. Normally has a hard time hitting. Definitely the weak link in the lineup. And again, he's gotten a walk and a hit by a pitch. We'll take it. And we got Emerson up next. And then JP, Cal, and Julio all have a hit today. But they could have more if they were just patient in the box. And let's see if Colt, in the same situation as Cole Young, let's see if Colt Emerson can find a way to get this game tied up. And again, we had bases loaded for Cole Young, and it wasn't his fault. Just a great diving catch by Mangum in center field. He's robbed us of a couple runs today by his defense, and hopefully Colt will be able to find a single, a double, triple, or a home run here, or even a walk, and we can end up getting that runner to come home from third. So. And one nice base knock can tie this game up. Canzone, Rayleigh, and Naylor with grand slams this year. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. And I wouldn't even mind if Colt is patient enough to take the walk and we just bring in that free runner from third, but I'm not sure if that will happen. But, you know, we'll take a run any way we can get it. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike from Evan Sisk to Colt Emerson. Let's go, Colt. Let's go, Emerson. We need Dom in the lineup, too. And a line drive up the middle. Fuck. Toe tap on the bag and just in time. And we leave bases loaded, stranded again. Damn it. Tough. You know, and again, sometimes it's just not our day. We do have more hits than them right now. We have 6, but again, bases loaded twice. Cole Young couldn't do it. Emerson couldn't do it. And again, now we're still down 3-1. But I mean, at least we're hitting the ball instead of having 0 hits right now. We're just 1. So, you know, but again, frustrating. Another opportunity, not completely wasted, but, you know, just got to be patient that hopefully once they end up switching pitchers again, that we'll be able to find a little bit of rhythm. And we need home runs. It shows you how home run dependent we are. We're getting a bunch of hits, but we need that home run to really solidify a good inning. All right, next up for the Pirates in the bottom of the 6th, 1 for 2 with a run and an RBI, DHing Brandon Lau. Batting second, 1 for 2 with a K, left fielder Brian Reynolds. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, third baseman Nick Gonzalez. Trident's up, let's go Ems. $57 subs to go to 24,400. Still waiting on our first dono on our dono train here as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Now let's see where we're at. On the likes, we're at 83. We're almost there. 17 more. Get 17 people to hit that like button out of the 170. We'll be there. Uh-oh. Broadcast is down on the stats, and they're on phones again. First pitch from Miller to Lau. Low and at the knees, 1-0 count. So Miller's at 9 Ks, but he's given up 2 home runs, and that's really the difference. His ERA is only 2, 77 pitches in, but we need home runs. Popped up with the sinker, 94 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Lau. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-1 Pittsburgh. One pitch, big swing and a miss. One ball, strikes to Brandon Lau. One-two pitch. Low and at the knees that ends up dribbling into the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Brandon Lau. Come on, Bryce. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and that's punch out number 10. Let's go. Nice job there by Bryce Miller. Now we just need the offense to do their job. 10 Ks for Bryce. It kind of reminds you of that George Kirby 10K game that he had, and we couldn't get run support there either. But we had more chances in this game than that one. Next up is Brian Reynolds, 1 for 2 with a K. On deck is Nick Gonzalez. First pitch is high and inside to Reynolds, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 6th, 3-1 Pittsburgh. And obviously they're having issues with the stats. No stats on the screen. And obviously they're back on telephones rather than on mics. And hopefully they'll get back to, getting things fixed at least before the game ends. I mean, they had it fixed for about a half inning there, but definitely having issues with the Mariners truck as well as the Pittsburgh broadcast and their equipment as well. First time this season we've had an issue like this. But I guess it could be worse. Could be a rain delay, even though we have been pretty good on those this season. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Knuckle curve missing there by Miller. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-1 Pirates. Two-one pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Reynolds, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Reynolds. Two-two pitch. Low and away, goes into the dirt. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 6th, 3-1 Pirates. Miller on the mound. Brian Reynolds in the box. And next up is the Guardians, and that will not be an easy series whatsoever. Big swing and a miss, and punch out number 11 for Bryce Miller. Let's go. Miller's doing everything that he can, and that's a career high. Great job by Bryce. Just wish that he didn't give up those 2 home runs. A career high for Bryce Miller, 11 Ks. But we just need our team to score runs, 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. And again, we've scored 1 to 3 runs the last 10 games. Something's got to give. We have too much talent, to be doing that. I mean, we've had a lot of injuries as well, but again, lineups could be a little bit better. And even when the lineups are great, sometimes we can't get it done. We definitely need Dominic Canzone to come in late, and maybe he can be the hero. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, little dribbler up the middle. And just right in between J.P. Crawford and Bryce Miller, and nothing there. And Nick Gonzalez with a single. All right, Bryce is done. He's at 90 pitches and 11 Ks. And they got Gabe Spire coming in. And hopefully this is the good Gabe, not the bad. O'Hearn is up next. All right, Gabe Spire coming in. 2 outs with the man on here in the bottom of the 6th. Great day overall. Obviously you would want him to give up 2 runs or less, but one of the home runs was a 2-run jack. The other was a solo dinger by Lau, and that was in the 1st inning, and then gave up the Davis home run. And Triolo was on board, which was unfortunate because being down 2-1, which would have been much better. But let's see if Gabe Spire can give us a little bit of magic here, and hopefully he'll be able to pitch well. And we just need the bats to come alive for just 1 inning. I mean, we've had bases loaded twice, and we haven't been able to get it done. One by just really good, defense there in center field, and another one just Emerson not hitting it deep enough past the infield. But let's see if Gabe Spire can get the job done. And we got Ryan O'Hearn up next, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks. On deck is Esmeralyn Valdez. And there's still time for us to come back and win this game 4-3. I mean, the vibes, we got more hits than them. We have 6, they have 5, but they have 2 home runs and we have none. So something's got to give. We have to get at least 1 home run, more than likely, to win this game. If we don't get a home run, we probably aren't going to win. So even if it ends up just being a solo dinger, it may open the door for an RBI after that or before that. So, unless we can end up getting a 2-run jack or a 3-run bomb, and then that could propel us to victory. Just like when we were down 2-1 and Cole Young hit the home run. So, we may need something like that again. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio for this icon and legend. And every stream we will dedicate it to this guy, the legend, the icon, Rick Riz. We love you. All right, let's see if Gabe Spire can get O'Hearn out, and we can find a way for bases loaded to finally, come into our favor, and hopefully we can find a way to win 4-3 or 5-3. And first pitch popped up. Deep center field. Julio is there, and that is out number 3. There we go. Spire throws 1 pitch, and we get the out. That's exactly what we wanted. There we go. Good job there by Julio Rodriguez. Down goes O'Hearn. They leave 1 stranded, and now we got 3 innings to score 3 runs to win. And again, if we were just able to capitalize on one of those bases-loaded moments, the game would probably be tied right now, or maybe we would just be down 1, or we might be ahead 4-3 or 5-3. But we just got to be able to find a way to get it going here in these last 3 innings. Next up, 1 for 3 with an RBI and a K, third baseman J.P. Crawford. I wouldn't mind a bunt being dropped down at some point between now and the end of the game. Batting second, 1 for 3 with 2 Ks, big dumper Cal Raleigh. Could he be the guy that gives us the big home run after JP forces a walk or gets a single? I sure hope so. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a K, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Have some patience in the box, like JP Crawford normally does, Cal and Julio, and that could be the difference in this game. Let's go. End of the 6th inning, 3-1 Pittsburgh. All right, we're at 92. 8 more likes to get to 100. If we can get 8 people out of the 190 to get it, and we'll be there. We just need 8 people to smash that like button here in between the commercial break out of the 190 that are in the room, and we'll be at 100. Yeah, when players get hurt, it's hard to be able to come back, especially when you ended up catching 95% of the games, playing in the home run derby. And there's the bunt that we finally been asking for, but it goes foul, But again, sometimes you get overworked, A lot of people don't realize being a catcher is the hardest position in baseball. Squatting for fucking 2 to 3 hours, having to be a leader, calling a great game, throwing guys out at first, second, and third from the knees, and having the responsibility of hitting home runs and, getting RBIs and being a second manager, on the field. It's definitely a tasking job, and not a lot of guys can do it on a high level. And I assume that Cal, he may not hit 60 home runs, in the rest of his career, but I would assume that he'll have at least a couple good years where he'll get close, hitting somewhere between 40 and 60, at least once or twice, before his career is over. But again, you got to make sure you take care of the body, and again, definitely did a little bit too much last season. WBC didn't help either. Pitch is low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. 2-1 pitch, a little dribbler up the middle. Throw to first, and that is 1 away. Down goes J.P. Next up, in the 2-hole, DHing big dumper Cal Raleigh. On deck is Julio Rodriguez. And we got Bizzardo warming up for the M's. Let them know all day. Still waiting on our first. We're in the 7th inning. First pitch is high and away to the big dumper, 1-0 count. And maybe batting from the right side, will give him, that juice and that lift. Sometimes you swinging from one side and you're cold and, maybe you want to get over to that other side. Let's see if Cal can make some magic happen against this lefty. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking. Right down the middle, 1 ball and 1 strike to the big dumper at Cal Raleigh. Cal did have our first hit of the game, a double, since it was a lazy throw from the outfield. Should have been a single, but he does have 2 Ks since then. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Evan Sisk to big dumper at Cal Raleigh. Top of the 7th inning with nobody on and 1 out. 2-1 pitch, low and away. Count now is 3 balls and 1 strike to the big dumper at Cal Raleigh. I would like to see Dominic Canzone enter this game before it's over. We could really use his bat. 3-1 pitch, good at bat there for Cal Raleigh, taking the walk. And now we got a runner at first. Let's go. Good job, Cal. Next up is Julio Rodriguez, who's 1 for 3. On deck is Josh Naylor. Could this be the inning that we finally tie the game up? I hope so. Let's go, Julio. Bring that electricity. With 1 swing, the game is tied. And we're going to have another pitching change, it looks like. So Sisk is done. All right, Johan Ramirez coming in. And he's a righty. All right, so Sisk is done, and they're going to be bringing in a righty. Last photo was a little blurry, so I'm going to go with hopefully a better one here. All right, there we go. All right, Johan Ramirez coming in to face Julio Rodriguez. And hopefully Julio will give us that magic that we need. Angry in the building, what's good? Yeah, it's usually haters, people just talking shit, and they haven't really followed his whole career. I mean, he's already been one of the best catchers since coming in. He was the guy that, broke the 20-year slump and got that home run against the Athletics. And again, he's been able to hit more home runs, typically, besides this season when he's gotten hurt, but normally hitting, 20 to 30 home runs almost every season. And again, had that spectacular year last year. And again, he's still going to end up being one of the best catchers in the game year in and year out. So, but anytime you have an injury, or multiple injuries, it's hard to get back to where you were immediately. So, also depending on the injury. So, first pitch to Julio, big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ramirez to Rodriguez. And again, they are still having problems on Mariners TV with no stats on the screen, and they are on telephones rather than on mics for Angie and Goldie, since they're having issues there with the Pirates equipment as well as the Mariners truck. 1-1 pitch, low and away and into the dirt. Ramirez having a little bit of a mini meltdown. Hopefully that'll continue. 2 balls and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, and it's definitely difficult for, catchers to be able to hit home runs like that. Like, people don't realize, normally, when you hit home runs as a catcher, usually it's under 40. And fielder's choice, Julio's out at second, and that is 2 away. Next up is Josh Naylor. So Raleigh with the fielder's choice, Julio safe at first. Next up is Josh Naylor. Top of the 7th inning, runner at first. Julio Rodriguez with 2 outs, and we just need a home run. Can we please get one? Being the most home run dependent team stinks, especially when you're not getting those home runs. First pitch is high and away. Curveball, 82 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Good morning, Angry. .1-0 pitch in there for a strike looking. Curveball, 82 miles an hour, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. Come on, Josh. .1-1 pitch. High and away. Sweeper missing there. 2 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. Come on, baby. We need some of that Mariner magic. 2-1 pitch. High and away. 3 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. Johan Ramirez on the mound. Josh Naylor in the box. .3-1 pitch, and there we go, another walk. And here we go, we got runners at first and second. We have been good with 2 outs, and we have been pretty good in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And now we just got to hope we get some of that Mariner magic. And now we have Randy Arozarena, who's really overdue for a home run, hasn't had one in ages. And this would be a great time to get an RBI or home run here. Come on, Randy. Come on, Randy. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. But the way that Ramirez is pitching, if we just don't swing, we might be able to get a run or 2 scored, just based on walks alone. But are the Mariner hitters smart enough to, not swing? We'll find out. 1-0 pitch, low and away. So far, so good for Randy, not getting, bit on being aggressive. 2 balls and no strikes to Randy Arozarena. And if Randy just doesn't swing at this at-bat, it's bases loaded. More than likely. Ramirez has had a hard time hitting the strike zone here since he's come into the game. We got runners at first and second with 2 outs. And we've already had bases loaded twice, and we haven't been able to, come up with anything. One with a great play, by their defense in center field by Mangum, and then other opportunity with bases loaded, and Emerson just hit a dribbler up the middle that wasn't past the infield, and now we have a mound visit. They're trying to come up with a strategy on how to pitch to Randy. Yeah, 10 games where we've scored only 1 to 3 runs. So something's got to give, and again, the magic number for our team normally when we're good is, 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, and if we end up hitting that number and the pitching is somewhat good, normally we win, when we hit that number, or at least we're competitive. But lately we've only been able to get, 0 to 3, typically 1 to 3 the last 10 games. And that ain't going to cut it, and again, we don't have a very good record in 1-run games either. A few days back, I think we were like 11 and 13. We were like bottom 10, in 1-run games. And normally we're pretty good in 1-run games in previous years, but this year, not so much. 2-0 pitch, low and into the dirt. Good job by Randy. And again, if we just don't swing, we could tie this game up. And, if you can end up walking the next couple batters. 3 balls and no strikes to Randy Arozarena. He can't hit the strike zone. Don't bail him out. Julio at second, Naylor at first. 3-0 pitch and a walk. There we go. 4 straight pitches, even with a mound visit by the pitching coach. Couldn't help solve that problem, and now we got bases loaded. Just don't fucking swing. Next up is Luke Raley. Don't swing. Luke Raley in the box. On deck is Cole Young, and if we can just get Raley and Young up there and they don't swing, the game will be tied. No, they're going to make a pitching change. Damn them. Keep him in there. And they're not going to let Ramirez blow the game for him. That's a damn shame. I was hoping that they would keep him in there for at least a couple more batters. And now we have another pitching change. All right, now Montgomery is coming in. All right, Mason Montgomery coming in. All right, Mason Montgomery coming in with a 4.55 ERA. He is a lefty, though. And then instead of having Luke Raley bat, they're bringing in Rob Refsnyder. Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? With bases loaded and 2 outs, and we finally have a chance? I mean, Rob could end up, making a hit, but goddamn, really? And these are the dumbass decisions by Dan Wilson that will cost him his job. Fucking A, dude. Are you kidding me? Let's just hope that this is the one game out of like 100, that Rob actually gets a walk, hit by a pitch, a single, or, somehow, some way he ends up doing that. But, oh, God, really? We want to really rely on Rob Refsnyder? Fucking A, dude. Jesus. Dan, you're a fucking idiot. Let's hope that it works. First pitch, high and away, 1-0 count. Maybe we can have him get hit by a pitch or force a walk. 1-0 pitch. Fuck, don't swing. That would have been a 2-0 count. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. Come on, Rob, read the room. And every once in a blue moon, he'll get a home run or, a single, but he's definitely by far our worst player on the team. Third bases loaded opportunity here. 1-1 pitch. And a dribbler towards third and foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. Top of the 7th, bases loaded with 2 outs. We've gotten bases loaded 3 times and haven't been able to get anything, at least yet, here. Let's just pray that Rob can get a single and make it 3-2 at the very least. 1-2 pitch, high and inside, or even if he can force a walk. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. Oh, Rob. Fuck. Come on, Rob. 2-2 pitch. And Refsnyder pops up. Fucking A, dude. You kidding me? Dumbass Dan Wilson. And that is out number 3. I mean, you would have been better off, having Raley hit or having Canzone come in. And again, Dan Wilson, not a professional manager. I wouldn't even want him as a fucking Little League coach. Golly. I mean, there's a time and a place, to have Rob come into the game not fucking there. And that shows you the splits, with the lefty and righty thing. It doesn't work, if he's a terrible hitter, he's going to continue to be a terrible hitter. Like, how many chances are you going to give him before you fucking cut him? All right, next up in the 6th hole, right fielder Esmerin Valdez. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a K, second baseman Tyler Callahan. And batting third, 1 for 2 with a run, shortstop Jared Triolo. And this might be the first time all year we've had bases loaded 3 times and have gotten nothing. Oh, fucking Dan Wilson, you fucking dummy. You might have been a decent catcher, but you're sure of a shitty-ass manager, let me tell you. Not good enough for this team. Rob Refsnyder? Come on, Dan. Read the room. Awareness on a scale of 0 to 100, 0. Again, Connor Joe is in AAA, but shouldn't be on the team. Refsnyder shouldn't be on the team. And when you got guys like Johnny Pareda and Miles Mastroboni not on the team, it shows you the front office with Dipoto and Dan Wilson are fucking idiots. They always choose the player that's shittier. We should have Pareda over Garver. Mastroboni should be on the team over Refsnyder, especially with the ability of Refsnyder or Mastroboni playing multiple positions. But, apparently they're too stubborn when they sign someone in the offseason to let a guy go. And now we got Bizzardo in the game here for Spire. First pitch for Bizzardo to Valdez, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. It's like, when you have 2 options, why do we always choose the shittier player? And it's not just me or the people in the room, it's all Mariner fans can notice who's a good player and who's not, Like just look in the mirror and say you fucked up by signing Joe and Refsnyder in the offseason. I mean, challenge here by Valdez. And we can't see the graphics because the trucks are down. And it is a strike. And Bizzardo with the strikeout. And that is 1 away. And it looks like they got the microphones back. They're not on phones anymore, but the stats are not on the screen yet. Here on Mariners TV, they have issues with the Pirates truck and the Mariners truck. And we got Bizzardo in the game. Next up to Tyler Callahan. Little dribbler up the middle by Callahan. Young is there. Throw to Naylor, and that is 2 away. All right, 2 up and 2 down here for Edward Bizzardo. Next up is Jared Triolo. First pitch is up and into Triolo, 1-0 count. And it doesn't matter that Refsnyder was good against lefties in Boston. This isn't fucking Boston. We have the hardest ballpark out of 30 to hit at, and it was a mistake. Good for him, doing well last season, but that doesn't do anything for us this year. And, you just got to cut your losses. And Refsnyder's not even good enough to be on our fucking AAA team. It's fucking terrible. Just like fucking Connor Joe, terrible. They can't field, they can't hit. They're just fucking terrible players. Cut them, Especially when you got guys that have been good in Mastroboni and Pareda, but they're like, nah, we don't want good players. Let's just stick with the shitty ones. Dumbasses. Bottom of the 7th inning, 3-1 Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of really great managers that are out there. Out of the 30 ball clubs, there's only like 3 or 4 out of 30. It's just a rotating door of former big leaguers that get hired and fired. It would be nice if you could end up getting someone from like college, that wins a natty and then they become a new manager. But for whatever reason, the MLB doesn't really hire, college, managers for whatever reason. But Dipoto needs to get his ass out of there, but they're too stupid to fire him. And they're going to stick with Dan probably for a couple years before they let him go. But essentially, it's the same type of manager as Scott Service, just not aware. We need a Lou Piniella type, not someone that's soft. And both, managers are soft and have no fucking awareness. Leaving guys in too long, pulling guys too soon, keeping the shittier player when you have a better option. Can't run a ball club that way. And even with the ball club not being run well, we're still one of the better teams, with talent. But again, if we want to be able to get to that World Series level, changes need to be made. But will they make the changes? No. They'll just stick with those two guys for, a couple more years, and they're more likely to get rid of Wilson before Dipoto. They're not going to fire both. First pitch inside to Triolo. And a little slow dribbler, throw to Naylor, and that is out number 3. All right, so we've had bases loaded 3 times, and we haven't been able to get anything. One based on a really good play by Mangum, and then Emerson couldn't get the job done. It's just a slow dribbler up the middle, not really his fault. And then they brought in Rob Refsnyder for Luke Raley because they think, based on the analytics, that, if you're a lefty hitter, that you can't hit a lefty pitcher. But obviously that, it's like, paralysis by analysis, and again, sometimes you got to be able to go with a better player instead of just sticking with a guy that is a right-handed hitter and assuming that he's going to get a hit. It doesn't work. It might work for other teams, but it doesn't work for us. And again, you see Dan continue to do the same dumb shit over and over and over again. I mean, Luke Raley, hell, even if you're going to bring in a player for Raley, bring in Canzone. If you're going to bring somebody in, not fucking Rob Refsnyder. Like, let's bring in the guy that can't fucking hit, gets a hit once every 40 games. Even Paisley doesn't want to watch Rob Refsnyder. All right, let's see if we can come back now. Now we still have a chance. We're only down 2. We can win this game 4-3 if we can get some fucking magic, or at least score when we have bases loaded. Let's see if we can get some home runs going at some point or another. Next up, 0 for 3, second baseman Colt Clutch Young, and we need you to be clutch right now. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a run and a base on ball, Mitch Garver, who's got hit in the foot and got a walk, so he's been kind of productive. And then batting third, 0 for 2 with a base on ball, Colt Emerson. I don't know if this lineup is correct, but that's what ESPN is showing. It's one thing to run your squad like Moneyball, which is a great movie, and whatnot. But again, you have to be smart, on when to bring guys in, and having Rob Refsnyder lead off, is a moronic move. Why would you want your worst hitter leading off? That doesn't set the tone, but apparently Dan Wilson, is stupid. So. All right, we're at 106 likes, 94 to 200. And again, when you've been a fan of this team for as long as I have, and as long as a lot of you guys have as well, sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. It's like we want to be as positive as we can, but dumbass decisions like that need to be called out. 0-1 pitch fouled off there by Young. No balls and 2 strikes from Montgomery to Young. 0-2 pitch, high and away. Yeah, and it definitely stinks when, we're the most home run dependent team in baseball. Out of 30, we're number 1. When we homer, we win. When we don't homer, we lose. And it's very rare where we can get enough hits and RBIs to win a game with no home runs. Now, have we won a game this year with no home runs? Yeah, we have. But we're not very good in 1-run games. And obviously, we've been on this slump, scoring only 1 to 3 runs. And again, if we can't get to 4, that'll be the 11th game in a row where we haven't got over 1 to 3 runs. And something's got to change. We got the Guardians next. It's going to be really tough. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Young. And that is 1 away. Next up is Mitch Garver. Let's see if Mitch can give us some Mariner magic. On deck is Colt Emerson. And Garver with a little dribbler up the middle. Throw to first. And that is 2 away. Got to start a 2-out rally. Next up in the 9-hole, shortstop Colt Emerson. On deck is J.P. Crawford. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. First pitch from Montgomery to Emerson. Obviously, graphics are still not working for Mariners TV here. No balls and 2 strikes from Montgomery to Emerson. Now, baseball is hard, as that one gets fouled off, but it's like we need, like Ichiro and Griffey to be there every day working with these guys. And, you got Seitzer and you got Edgar and whatnot, but, again, it's all about leadership and, you got to have a good manager, a good coach. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and again, there's a lot of things that have gone wrong. Injuries, right? Terrible base running team this year, home run dependent, again, we're terrible against lefties, but again, even with all that being said, going into a few of these games recently, out of 15 teams in the American League, we were one of only 2 teams out of 15 that actually scored more runs than the opponent. And again, the Yankees are 1 and the Mariners were 2, and then the Rays were there, but then they were at 0 a couple days ago. I don't know if they're in the positive at the moment, but it shows really like how bad the American League is. And even though we're floating around 500, and luckily we got on that 8-game win streak to, kind of get us, 3-4 games above before we kind of went on this meltdown. Again, we're too talented for this. But again, normally in the first half of the season, we're a 500 ball club, regardless on who we have or not. But this is the most adversity that we've had to go through in a talented ball club ever. We've never had this many injuries to quality players in the last 40 years. So we just got to try to do our best until we get to the All-Star break and then know that we're going to get better then. But, definitely is frustrating, because again, if we had a better manager and we were not as banged up, we probably would be about 5 or 10 games above 500 realistically, but it is what it is. All right. Davis is in the box and they're bringing in Hoppy now. I'm not really sure if that's the right option here, but that's Dan Wilson for you. Hoppy pitched yesterday and it looks like at this point they don't want to bring in Ferrer, and obviously they're going, lefty on righty, righty on lefty, but hard to win, with all these things, going against you. But again, not very good on the road. Lots of injuries. Terrible against lefties. Not a good base running team. Defense lately with a bunch of errors. It's like, can't hit. Home run dependent. So, and again, sometimes the lineups aren't the greatest either. And again, it's like when you have, hitters that are normally really good, like Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone, they need to be playing every day. This whole experiment with the splits is not fucking working, but Dan is too stubborn and stupid to change. And Davis hits one all the way back to the wall, and Randy is there, and he's lazy as hell. And that ends up turning into a double. Of course it is. Stand-up double there by Henry Davis, who hit a home run earlier in the game. And obviously ends up giving them a little bit of magic here at home, and hopefully we'll be able to keep them there. Next up is Jake Mangum. On deck is Brendan Lau. And again, this team has got 4 players hovering under 300. So I already knew that this was going to be a lot tougher than people expected. Normally when you think of Pirates, you think of, oh, they're not that good. They're a shitty ball club, but they're a little bit better than people think, even though they may not be at the top of their division. We obviously know the National League Central at one point had everyone above 500. So, and Mangum shows bunt and it goes foul. 0-1 count. But again, I've been following this team for 40 years, and even when we went on a 20-year drought, I still watched the games. Even though we knew that there was no chance of making the playoffs and whatnot. So, but we're in a different spot now. From 2022 to 2042, there should be a lot of opportunities for playoffs and deep runs, but definitely a lot of adversity this year. And runner ends up getting to third safe. And bringing in your worst bullpen pitcher when you're down 2 is another dumb decision by Dan Wilson. But, big swing and a miss there. It's like the game is not 5-1 right now and out of reach. I mean, it's 3-1. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Got him. And that is 1 away. But I wasn't ever really a fan of Scott Service. I really didn't like him. And I don't really like Dan Wilson either. Just doesn't have a pulse of the game. And, it's one thing that if you used to be a former player, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be a good manager and have good leadership and also be smart. Not everyone is built to be a manager. And clearly Service and Dan Wilson aren't. Hell, I wouldn't even want those guys to be assistant fucking managers to the team. Bottom of the 8th, runner at third with 1 out, 3-1 Pittsburgh. We need Lou Piniella types. Not guys that are soft that make fucking dumb decisions. First pitch from Hoppy, in there to Brandon Lau, in there for a strike. 0-1 count. One pitch and a line drive over the head of Young, scores another run. 4-1 Pittsburgh. And at this point, more than likely the game is over. Is there times where we can come back? Yeah, but you can just look at the body language of the players. They've gotten beat up these last couple games. And bringing Hoppy in, not a smart decision. Bringing Rob Refsnyder in, not a smart decision. Especially when we had bases loaded 3 times. Couldn't cash in 1 time. Rough. And then when we got the Guardians next. Got to bring our A game for that particular organization. There's no doubt about that. Next up is Brian Reynolds. But you know how it goes. They love being able to hire people that used to play for the team. A lot of, teams do that. They hire a player that used to be on the team and they like going down that route for like camaraderie and whatnot. And that goes over Garver's head in the backstop and runner gets to second. And now we're having a meltdown and the chance of coming back to the, and winning this game is 0. It's not going to happen. I wish I could say that we have at least 1% chance of coming back, but just based on who's in the game and the body language of the players, they're thinking about what's for lunch. They're not thinking about comeback. Now, hopefully we can at least put up another run on the board, with like a home run or like something, an RBI to make the scoreboard look a little better. But the chance of coming back is going to be very, very tough. The most that we've ever really come back from is 5. But I mean, we would have to have like the biggest meltdown possible, in the 9th. And I don't see that happening. And we were lucky enough to not face Skeens this whole series. And it didn't even fucking matter. Brutal. 3-0 pitch from Hoppy to Reynolds. And that's a walk. It's hard being a fan of this team sometimes, but again, you have to be mentally tough, and if you're not mentally tough, this is not the team for you, and again, you're going to go through ups, you're going to go through downs, you're going to go through peaks, you're going to go through valleys, and sometimes it's going to be hard to watch, and you're going to get beat up, and that's kind of a theme, when you don't have things going your way and, and could have a, better manager with a better decision maker and leader, but I still love this team, and I know we're going to turn it around after the All-Star break, but, this is definitely rough. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Next up is Nick Gonzalez. Bottom of the 8th with runners at first and second with 1 out. Yeah, of course I am. Big swing and a miss on a 1-0 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike to Nick Gonzalez. Yeah, and again, any baseball fan would admit to that. Being a baseball fan a lot of times is being frustrated or angry almost through the whole year, no matter how good your team is. Obviously, if you're like the Dodgers, you're probably not as angry or frustrated compared to everyone else, but you're definitely going to go through the emotions, in a long 162 game season. So. But when there's things that could be prevented, like, keeping Pareda over Garver, keeping Master Boney over Refsnyder, those are the things, that get really frustrating. It's like, okay, when you have two options and you go for the worst player, why? It just doesn't make sense. It's like we've been struggling. We need all the help that we can get. 2-1 pitch, fouled off with a foul tip there by Reynolds. It's not like we're the Dodgers and, we're going to be sitting 20, 30 games above 500 and we can afford to make a wrong decision here and there. So. Yeah, but we always turn it up in the second half of the season. We've always been a 500 ball club in the first half. But this year we've just had, way more things go wrong than normal. And JP is there at third, throw to first, and safe. And again, once we get Brandon Donovan back, that'll give us a big jolt, and hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy for the rest of the year. Having him over JP at third will be a better bat and a better defender, and then we just got to hope that we can start getting on a couple win streaks. Fielder's choice, runner is out. Lau is out at third. Reynolds to second. Runners now at first and second with 2 outs. Next up is Ryan O'Hearn. It's like keeping Dylan Moore for as long as we did last year. Instead of calling up Leo Rivas months earlier, that could have helped us get 5 or 10 more wins. But the organization is too stupid to make the move. And a line drive there by O'Hearn. That's going to score a run, maybe 2. And now the game is completely over. And again, not a very smart decision when you're only down by 2 runs and you bring in your worst pitcher. These are the type of decisions that Dan Wilson makes game in and game out. Now, would we have come back down 3-1? More than likely, no. But the game was still in reach. But now the game is way out of reach and it's over. And again, by bringing in Hoppy instead of like Ferrer, and even though Ferrer has had some moments as well, but 5-1, we're not coming back. Offense wasn't there, and Bryce Miller had a career high 11 Ks, but just like George Kirby getting 10, it doesn't lead to a victory for us. And it doesn't help that Brash and Cooper Criswell and Carlos Vargas are all injured until August. We could have really used those 3 guys in the pen, and we need to do a better job on either calling guys up like Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan or getting more, pitchers on this team instead of worrying about, positional players like Refsnyder and Joe. They should have got more pitchers in the offseason. Ball is confirmed. 1-0 count. Cook is pinch hitting now for the Pirates. 1-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss. High and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike from Hoppy to Cook. Yeah, White Sox look like a playoff team this year, though. So they finally turned it around with Munetaka Murakami, even though he got hurt with the hammy. But he finally gave you guys an identity. And, Colson Montgomery and Miguel Vargas have fed off that energy. And Julio is there finally for out number 3. But a little too late. And now we're down by 4 runs. Yeah, but the difference, though, between the White Sox and the Mariners is like, if you look at our team, we're a World Series contender, and we have been for the last couple years. And the White Sox obviously have been bad for how many years? And now this year they're good. And hopefully they'll feed off that, and it shows you the impact of these Japanese players, for the Blue Jays and the White Sox. Both have been homering and making a positive impact, even though the Blue Jays, like the Mariners, have struggled this year. But the White Sox are finally, good. And it feels good to see a team that was bad get, to the level that they're at. And obviously we've seen the White Sox and the Guardians and the Rays, the Yankees and the Mariners be the top 5 teams in the American League. And, I hope that the White Sox will continue to have success. All right, top of the ninth. We're down by 4 runs. See who's up next year for the Mariners. And this will be the 11th game in a row, scoring only 1 to 3 runs. Not good. Next up, 1 for 4 with an RBI and a K. J.P. Crawford should have brought in Dominic Canzone. And again, it's like if you don't play your best players, what do you think is going to happen? Batting second, DHing, big dumper Cal Raleigh. Probably should have had Dom DH today over Cal. And batting third, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And the way that the American League is situated, we're still a World Series contender. You know, Yankees have the talent. You know, you got the Rays, you got the Mariners, the White Sox, and the Guardians. So obviously Yankees are at the top, but, you know, it's kind of a, you know, if you're looking at talent, you know, we have just as much as talent as the Yankees. Obviously not as good of a record, but we've had a lot of injuries and a lot of other things that have gone wrong. But that doesn't mean that we can't still make a deep run. Gregory Soto in the game there, throwing to J.P. Crawford, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. No, I don't think so. A little slow dribbler there by J.P. Toe tap on the bag, and that is 1 away. Yeah, you're not going to win your bet. Next up is big dumper Cal Raleigh. I mean, unless you end up getting back-to-back homers here by Cal and Julio, which I guess could be possible, but the chances of that happening are pretty low. First pitch to Cal, low and at the knees. I mean, unless Cal gets a single and then Julio hits a home run, that could, you know, possibly happen. Oh, 1 pitch, big swing and a miss. You know, and especially when you got beat up, you know, and now you're down 5-1 mentally, are the players still focused, you know, on trying to get the win or trying to get the stats up? You know, sometimes at this point in the game when you're down 4 and, you know, they're probably looking at, okay, well, you know, I need to shower, get some lunch, and prepare for the Guardian series. Oh, 2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. 1-2 pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Two pitch being challenged. And ball is confirmed. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the ninth, 5-1 Pittsburgh. Three-two pitch. Cal pops up and out of play. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Cal, and that is 2 away. All right, last but not least, Julio Rodriguez. See if we can get to at least 2 before this game ends. But it'll take a lot at this point. Soto on the mound, Julio in the box. But we have seen Julio hit late homers recently, you know, either in the 8th or the 9th inning. But this might be a little bit too little too late First pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch in there for a strike, high and away. No balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. All right, 1 more strike and this game is over. We got the Guardians next, so we got to be able to play up to the competition. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Check swing, did he go? No, he did not. Sweeper, 84 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 9th, 5-1 Pittsburgh. Come on, Julio. 1-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. One ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. One-two pitch, hard hit ball, fading into right field, out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 9th, 5-1 Pittsburgh. Yeah, I mean, again, there's only been 2 teams that have more runs scored than more runs given up, us and the Yankees. That's it, as of going into yesterday. So as bad as things, Mariner fans think, things are going, everyone in the American League fucking stinks, and again, think about it. We could be last place in the AL West. We're in first. So, again, people want to complain and this and that, and it's frustrating. I get it, but things could be a fucking lot worse. We could be 15 games below 500 in last place. So, even with things going sideways and the record not being great, we're still in a good position, to go to the playoffs. We're still going to have to, battle the Athletics and the Rangers for first place, and obviously the Yankees and the Rays and the Guardians and White Sox are playing pretty good ball. But, we have as good of a chance as anybody after the Yankees in that next tier, with the Rays, Guardians and White Sox to make it. So, just got to be positive. 1-2 pitch popped up. Center field should be an easy out for Mangum, and that is out number 3. All right, let's go over the stats here quickly. We don't have too many to go over. Final score, Pirates 5, Mariners 1, and that's the 11th game in a row that we've failed to score more than, 1 to 3 runs, and that's got to change. All right, Mangum 0 for 4. Brendan Lau 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a home run that set the tone. Brian Reynolds 1 for 3 with a run. Nick Gonzalez 1 for 4. Ryan O'Hearn 1 for 4 with an RBI. Esmeralda Valdez ended up getting 0 for 3. Tyler Callahan 0 for 3. Jared Triolo 1 for 3 with a run. And then the hero of the game, 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a home run, Henry Davis. That was kind of the difference. And then let's go to the Mariners here really quick. All right, J.P. Crawford 1 for 5 with an RBI. Cal Raleigh 1 for 4. Julio Rodriguez 1 for 5. Josh Naylor 1 for 3, excuse me. Randy Arosarena 1 for 3. Luke Raley 1 for 2. Cole Young 0 for 4, which is unfortunate. Mitch Garver 0 for 2 and Colt Emerson 0 for 3. We got to have Dominic Canzone play every day. And obviously bases loaded 3 times and couldn't cash in. But the one bright side, even though he didn't end up getting the win, Bryce Miller, 11 Ks, career high. So yeah, it stinks that we ended up losing, but at least, he got that particular stat under his belt. And Miller ended up getting the loss. Chandler got the win, which stinks. And again, we're going to have to get back at it tomorrow. And we got the Guardians up next. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we're going to be right back at it. And again, American League is terrible, but again, we just got to be able to do our best to be able to stay afloat and tread water. So final score, Pittsburgh 5, Seattle 1. And I got one question for you. Talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, Tridents up, and always go Mariners.